right? In Africa, we were fighting against colonialism, and we had you would hear names like the Mau Mau, Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere, all of those names you would hear, because we were going through a process of national liberation to establish a nation state. When El-Hajj Malik Shabazz came on the scene, he came on the scene as this process is developing. Now, when he comes to Islam, the first Islam was called Islam is what? A nationalistic brand of Islam. Right? And then, as he matures, he accepts the true Islam. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. When he goes to Egypt, he is studying with, right, Ikhwanis over there, right? When he goes to Europe, he's visiting with Sayyid Ramadan, right, who are all derived from Ikhwan al-Muslimin. So Malcolm is learning about Islamic government, not only Shahada, but Malcolm X is out of sync with the historical process at that time. He has gotten ahead, right, of the people. He's gotten ahead of the whole world. Because when he comes in and see what's going on, he jumps from becoming black, right, to becoming a true Muslim, to understanding what this whole wide process of Islam is all about. The powers to be realize that we got to kill this man now. Because everybody else, remember, the enemy knows what process we're going through. And all of us, even here in America, went through the same process as the rest of the world. We was glad to get out of slavery, right? Then we moved to Jim Crow, right? Then we want equality. Equality comes too slow. What's next? Black nationalism, isn't that right? Like everybody in the world, they go through the process of liberation. Then, after black nationalism don't work, then what do? We accept Islam, right? Right? You don't hear nothing about black nationalism big time in America today. The only people talking about true liberation is Islam, the Muslims. You don't hear much about nationalist movements around the world. What do you hear about? Radical Islamists. You hear about terrorists, isn't that right? What we're saying today is, brothers and sisters, that Allah created everything according to a measure, according to a time. Now, the time for the world to liberate itself from the old shackles of colonialism, of neo-colonialism, is today. And who did Allah choose to do that? The final liberation. Allah chose Islam, right? And Allah chose you and I. And all over the world, it's a big fight going on now. And this fight is in process. And all the people of the world that are thinking, no, this is the time. So you have these figures, Hassan al-Banna, Maulana Maududi. You have Imam Khomeini in Iran. People know about Imam Khomeini, but they don't know that Iran had to go through the same process that everyone else. Right? The nationalist movement. First it went through the constitutional movement, 1905. Then it took over by dictatorship. Then, in the 1950s, you've heard about the Mossadegh period, the nationalist period, right? When even the ulama, Ayatollah Kashani and others, were part of the national movement in Iran. It's 1953. But by 1963, the Islamic movement is beginning to take hold. The Shah's people killed in Qom in Iran, the holy city of Qom, they killed 15,000 people in one day. The same day, everybody's over here at the mall talking about free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last. That same day in Iran, the Shah is killing with American weapons under American guidance 15 15,000 people in one day, and don't nobody hardly outside of Iran know about that day they call the 15th of Qardad. Nobody knows about it. But that Islamic movement that he had started was developing. A year later, he goes in exile. When he go in exile, he go right to the spot that everybody is jumping up and down now, Najaf and Karbala. Right? And everything that's going on right now in Iraq is a direct result from those things that happened then. And the U.S. is trying to maneuver everybody in a certain way and don't know they already got their rhythm. They already got their rhythm. And they don't understand the undercurrents. So they think we're going to make stooges out of these Shias and we're going to have them against the other. And they don't even know the people involved, the two main parties involved, had their agenda for the last 50 years. Right? And they already know, right, what they're going to do, and they got a plan. So the old Sam thing, these are stooges here, we're going to use them. And they already got their plan from 50 years ago. Right? And it's going according to their outlook. Sam think they're using them, but they're using Sam. Sam been played all the way out of pocket and has no idea of the game that's going on. See, when you're in a game, you got to know something, right? I don't care what's football team, basketball team, you study what? How that group plays, isn't that right? When you see how they play, you develop plays and plans for the next season. How you going to do? You develop plays specifically for that team if it's a good coach, isn't that right? Then, according to time, place, circumstance, the score on the board, isn't that right? And all that, you call the play into account according to how much time is left on the we got 30 seconds left. Call timeout, right? Game is even. We got the ball. Throw them the ball. Zoop in the basket. No time for nobody else to come back. Isn't that right? So you pull in that play because the time left on the scoreboard. Isn't that right? And the team you playing. So you call a timeout, a ceasefire, anything you want, right? Because you know how this game is played. And if you had plans all year, how you going to play that team? When you're fighting against the United States of America, you got to know how old Sam plays the game, isn't that right? He has the same pattern of behavior, right? And then you know when you make a plan, your plan is, where do we want to go? What do we want to be? Okay? How much? What's it going to take to get there? What's the distance between where we are now and where we want to be? Can we get to where we want to be being like we are now, or do we have to grow and develop? How much training do we have to go? How much improvement do we have to make to get to where we want to go, right? It's normal. It's the way it is nowadays. Everybody have studied the old United States of America, right? They know how he played the game. And each Islamic movement all over the world has devised plans and schemes, right, to fit the goal of establishing the worldwide ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in power to bring the world to the true Islam. That's what's happening today. That's why the whole world is out there fighting against us. Now what about us? What are we going to do? Right?